Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday to you.
I did yoga in person for the first time in a long time yesterday.
All right.
Yeah.
One more step towards normalcy.
Yeah, it was great. I don't really like doing yoga by myself, and I did a little bit of Zoom yoga in my apartment, and I was like, meh, not what I'm into. And actually, interestingly, the class I was in live was being broadcast on Zoom. There were like 4 people also there. They had like a model, like someone from the class volunteered to like be the model that was on camera. And then like there's a TV in the corner of the room showing the Zoom people participating. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Were you the model?
No.
No.
This is I'm vain, but this is my first time back in a long time. And I was like, I'm gonna. Also, my part of my yoga philosophy is like sometimes I'm just not going to do what they tell me.
Yeah.
There's this thing in yoga where like they're really obsessed with vinyasas, doing these over this like the same set of movements over and over in between things, and I really hate that. A friend of mine basically just demonstrated to me one class where it's like you can just ignore what they say and do what you want at any point, and it's fine. And I was like, oh, that's great. So I do that sometimes now.
Yeah. I did it for a period of time. I always liked our particular instructor. He was like, it was like a small studio, and he owned the place, and he like ran all the classes for a while, and then slowly like grew his business and had more instructors and stuff. But I felt like he was very good at like reassuring people that like if you forgot the sequence, that's not a big deal. You can kind of fill in the gaps on your own, and then you can also like take those like little rest breaks in between. Which, do you do like normal temperature, or do you like it hot?
I do actually enjoy hot yoga. This was normal temperature though.
I tried hot once, and I feel like I almost passed out. Like I was seeing stars all over the place. It was pretty rough. But even like the non-hot version is like a little too warm for my taste. So I would often take those little rest breaks.
Mm-hmm. I also spend more time in certain positions because sometimes we'll like hit a pose and I'm like, oh, this feels amazing. I need to like stay here and like keep it going. And they tend to just keep moving. And so, yeah, I've been having fun just sort of freestyling in yoga classes lately. It's my biggest complaint with it was like, oh, I don't get to do the things I like enough, and they do too much of the stuff I don't like. But overall, I think it's really great for my body. It makes me feel so much better. So I had this sort of like mixed relationship with it where I was like, I want it to be better, but it's annoying. And so I just started doing my own thing, and now it's great.
What would you say you're mainly getting out of it? Is it a mode of exercise for you? Are you trying to work on like controlling your emotions, like your mental state, or is it kind of all of the above?
It is. I mean, it definitely helps my mental state, no doubt, like most exercise. Like I have a static sort of job where I'm mostly sitting or standing in the same position, and yoga is a nice counterbalance to that. And like I have like pretty darn tight like hamstrings, and there's like down dog and ankles. Like down dog is good for that. And so it's just like a bunch of the stuff in yoga is like a nice countervailing force.
I feel like we tall people have to be especially aware of our flexibility, especially as we get older.
I think just everybody, but especially programmers, I would say. Anybody with like a desk job or something similar, it's like your body is slowly kind of just like freezing in place. So more motion is good. Also, this week, we hired another person.
Did you?
We did. This person is an engineer, which is exciting. So this actually was someone who emailed me. So one of the things I put on our job page was just this like TBD job opening where it's like, pitch me on something. If you think we should hire you and you don't see a job here that's for you, like send an email here. And he wrote me a great email. And I was like, ooh, that's exciting. And we interviewed him and we liked him. And so we're bringing him on. So he's an engineer, but does not have native experience right now. So he's going to kind of come in, and the initial stuff is he's going to be working on is kind of like support engineering for a bit, like digging into bugs and diving into things with customers and working on basically tuple reliability and quality for a while, with the eventual goal of leveling up and learning native development so he can be a contributing member of the actual native stuff. And also, he has some experience that will be relevant for going past 3 people on a call.
Is he a web developer then? He knows web technologies?
Yeah, yep. It's not like a junior position, but it is like needs to be sort of trained up over time position. We would like to find senior people too, or like people that have experience already. So I've seen this work really well at Thoughtbot, where like if you take people that seem smart and have promise and fit well with you, and sort of teach them what they need to know, it's just like a great hiring pipeline because everyone wants the senior experienced people that can come in and contribute on day one. Super hard to get those folks. If you can build a pipeline, if you're willing to invest the time and are good at it, you can grow your own awesome people.
Mm-hmm. That's encouraging because that's kind of, I feel like I may have to end up doing that because just the pool is smaller for Elixir developers. But there are comparatively a lot more Ruby developers, I think. And I think there are a lot of Ruby developers who are curious about Elixir and would probably pick it up fairly quickly because a lot of it kind of feels similar in its aesthetic, but it's functional. So it's different in important ways, but also like appeals naturally, I think, to Rubyists. So
I think even if we're pretty different, like we're a native, like a desktop app written mostly in C++, at least the core is. And that's pretty different than web development. But I think smart, motivated people can learn new skills, especially through pairing. Like we're going to pair with this person a bunch, and we've already had a couple people go through this tricky process and battle and all that, and like have learned a lot of lessons, and we can impart those lessons to this person and get them up to speed in, I think, a pretty reasonable amount of time.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah, and we should document more of that. Like as we started to do this, like Spencer has made some videos and like kind of like engineer onboarding pages where it's like here's how things work and here's the things that we had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
I want us to keep sort of fleshing that out for especially on the engineering side, so that like each new, like we could keep doing this, like we would keep finding promising smart people that don't have the experience that we want, but then like efficiently bring them up to speed.
Yeah. That's cool. Taking some pages out of the Stripe playbook.
Yeah, that's my yes, absolutely. This is my current business hack is just find out what Stripe's doing and then take the pieces that make sense for us and do that. I think there are worse businesses to emulate.
You are getting to the place where you're kind of almost ready to start really going more parallel, like Stripe has done, where you need to have like individual teams kind of working on initiatives as opposed to kind of just one engineering team that's working on one task at one time. And that's where it feels like the writing things down piece is pretty important. Like I've been thinking about this for myself, how important it is for me to be like aggressively documenting things and spending a lot of times like putting words down on paper. And I do feel like it might be a little bit premature for me where I don't know all of the documentation that would be necessary for the next team member. So I don't want to spend too much time, trying to like catch up on that yet. But like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of also like how much to incorporate into my habits and routines right now. It'll slow me down a little bit. Is it worth taking that hit on this speed and velocity? I don't know.
I think it probably is.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical that it'll slow you down much right now.
Yeah.
Like I think even just the process of writing it down helps you solidify your thinking or spot inefficiencies or things that need to be changed.
Yeah. I'm pretty bad right now with when I file like tickets for work that needs to get done. I oftentimes don't write anything in the description. so it's like there would be a lot of work to like go through and like actually flesh out what's in my brain about things that need to get built into the product, and then documenting what's there too.
The what needs to get built, if you're going to build it, that's like probably useful to save you some time from going down the wrong direction, possibly, I guess, if you're using it as like discovery almost, or like shaping for yourself. I could see like skipping that. Maybe more useful to be like, okay, here is where I see the product going over the next 6 months, or like, here is why I want to hire somebody and what I think they should do and why that will be good, or that sort of thing.
Writing probably would help with thought process too. It is hard to hold all this stuff in your head at once and keep all the considerations together. So every time I do an exercise where I actually write, and sometimes just scratching in my notebook, not like in a formal document, there's probably some value in like getting that into more of a permanent place where I can reference it and search it and stuff. Like, I don't know, the notebook is probably not ideal, but also it's a good place where I do thinking. So maybe I need to do some transfer at certain points. Like once I've kind of done rough stuff in a notebook, then move that over to somewhere more searchable. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. I had a crazy experience the other day where I was worried about something and I was like, let me write this down. And so I wrote up a summary of what I was worried about. And as soon as I had written it all down, I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That's actually just not a thing that I need to worry about. This is all this doesn't make sense. And so I just deleted everything and was like, all right, cool. I feel a lot better.
Served its purpose.
In my head, it was like, I was going in circles and I was like, oh man. And I was just like feeling anxiety about this thing. And as soon as I was like forced, like, okay, what are you actually worried about? And I wrote these things down. I was like, what? That's what's bothering me? As soon as I see it on the page, it doesn't feel like it has any salience at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the sales and success person we hired, before I made him an offer, I wrote a pitch to Spencer and Joel for like why we should hire this person and what they would do. And that was super useful to like clarify my thinking and like make sure I thought this was a good idea and what the plan was. And I'm actually interested to review this later on, like 6 months or a year or whatever. And one thing I was thinking, I was like, okay, let's say it doesn't work out for some reason, or like like we're not happy with the hire for whatever, some reason or the other. If I go back and look at my thinking at the time, what was wrong? Like what was off?
Yeah.
What do I need to adjust for next time? Like what lessons should I learn? It felt really useful to have a snapshot of how I think about it today. So if I am wrong, I can be less wrong next time, maybe.
Yeah, I think having that artifact is valuable because I feel like we're pretty bad at remembering what was I thinking at the time. Like brains aren't really designed to have that level of granular memory about like all of those details.
Totally, yeah. Like your current thought process, I feel like modifies how you remember like what you were thinking at the time.
Oh yeah.
It's like I can't really get reset back to an earlier Shaw and actually have those thoughts. It's all filtered through today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, I had a thought yesterday, which was, man, I'm doing some high stakes negotiations.
I saw you tweet about this talking about in the sales context, sort of like.
Yeah. It was about, like enterprise sales, mostly like pretty like routine follow up and like a little bit dull sometimes. And then every once in a while, like a conversation that's worth huge amounts of money over a period of years. Where the person on the other side is an experienced strategic sourcing person who's done hundreds of these, and I am not. Yeah, but also like salary negotiations. Like I did two salary negotiations with these people that we just hired, and I think I need to level up my negotiation techniques to make sure I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like so far, I've been pretty happy with how all these things have turned out, but they're pretty critical, and so I added to my list. I need to go back and read "Never Split the Difference," which seems to be a highly recommended book on this topic.
I have a book recommendation for this, but unfortunately I can't remember the title and I don't have it in front of me right now at my desk. But
All right.
I'll pass that along.
Sounds good. Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
know. It's time to, I got to get educated or just confirm that see what I'm doing right. That's the thing I didn't really quite appreciate as like being a founder of a thing. It's like sometimes you're going to have to negotiate some serious stuff. So know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those skills that it really takes practice. Like it's hard to, you can learn the theories behind it, but then like the true leveling up just comes from experience of doing it. So, which is frustrating, but that's probably true of most things. Like you have to fail a bunch and do things suboptimally.
Absolutely, yeah. And there have been a few where I was like, oh man, like I kind of screwed that up, or like I'm not quite happy with how this one turned out, or I would do this differently. So yeah, I want to get as much education ahead of time as I can to like hopefully avoid those things, but I will definitely continue to make mistakes and we'll need to just sort of learn it the way that everyone else learns things, I think. But so I'm trying to be cool with myself about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's going on with you?
Not too much. I'm still trying to continue the shipping spree as much as I can. So I'm working on trying to get a couple of features shipped this week. One of them being more custom field types on the submission form. That's sort of another table stakes feature. People adding like check boxes or radio buttons or something like that. It's been requested for a long time, and it's one of the ones that I know I've told multiple people like it's just around the corner, and I've been saying that for months. So it's going to feel good to get that type of feature knocked out. Amongst that, though, I'm also been thinking a lot this week about churn. It's such a hard thing to manage as a founder when I'm like kind of checking in on metrics and looking at things, and almost every day there's at least one person that cancels. And every time I see that, I'm desperate to know like what went wrong. Was it just not a good fit? Do they not need a scheduling tool anymore? Are they switching to a different tool? And right now I feel like I'm not getting like good data on that. Like I feel like I'm pretty blind in that area. That's something I actually would love to bat around with you for a few minutes. how to improve the situation. So right now, like kind of give you a lay of land of what I'm doing right now. Basically, when someone cancels, the moment they go into their billing portal and click the cancel button, it cancels at the end of the period. But I go ahead and send like an email just a couple minutes after that, saying like subject line, insert first name. I'd love to hear your input. And then the body of the email is basically like, hey, I noticed you canceled your subscription. Hearing your experience helps us to figure out what we should focus on. And it's like a very positive tone email, but it's like basically soliciting kind of a free form, like share any input, any thoughts you have on why this didn't work out for you. Is sort of the tone of the email. And virtually nobody responds to this email. So that's one piece to fix, is like the kind of feedback loop. I know there are tools. There's a tool called Churn. I think someone from our kind of bootstrapper community is building that. And basically the idea is like it sort of provides, you can set up offers like, hey, do you want to pause your subscription instead of fully cancel it? And then after a set duration of time, it'll automatically resume. Or you can like offer a discount right there. I'm always a little skeptical of these types of like final leg, like trying to save a customer. Like by the time they go in and hit cancel, they've probably already mostly made up their mind that they're like done with the tool. But I think it probably couldn't hurt to add this. Like it'd be interesting if like a majority of people pause their subscription. That would give me some kind of signal about like they're not fully leaving. They just decided they don't need it for a while, which would be an interesting data point to have. Do you have any initial thoughts though, based on kind of this like context?
So one just like super tactical thing is I think sending the cancellation feedback email right away makes it feel even more automated probably, versus I don't know if you'll fool anybody, but I almost feel like that email it feels like a cancellation confirmation email where they're just like, oh yeah, I'm done. Cool. There's the thing. Like, I know I did it or something, versus if maybe you caught them the morning after and we're like, one thing that's worked for us really well is literally including a picture of our faces in emails. So we have this email that goes out after someone does their first tuple call. And it's like, hey, I'm Joel. I'm one of the co-founders of Tuple. And he's like, this is what I look like. And it's just like this like nice smiling picture of Joel. And it gets a really good response rate. And people will comment positively on it. And like, even when they're like, this is probably automated, but you just seem so friendly. That might be a thing worth trying there. Like leading into like the human side of your business.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm Derrick. I'm the only person that's working on this in a way. Like I am the company of one behind SavvyCal. I'm trying to make the product better so I can pay my rent. Anything you could tell me would be super helpful. So sprucing up the email, I think the photo is like kind of a nice thing in there. Maybe delay it a bit. Jason Cohen says like, okay, there was this crazy funnel that someone had to go through to actually become a paying customer. And like all these steps had to happen. And then they canceled. Like they did all these like annoying things and even like paid you money or like entered a credit card, like did all this stuff that's not very fun because they had some dream in their head. And then something went wrong and then they canceled. And so somehow you're not giving them the dream. Like they thought they were going to get a thing and they didn't get that thing. And so like, what was that thing and why aren't you getting it is like a pretty critical question.
Yeah, the curiosity is just killing me. Like every time I see churn happen, that narrative runs through my head of like, how did I fail you to the point where you're completely abandoning the tool?
For the average churning user, have they not gotten any appointments?
Well, that's a really good question. That's also on the list of things that I want to do is like some kind of reporting on this. Because now I have a sample size of like several hundred people who fit this category of like have paid at least a month and then canceled. There's also the cohort of people who start their trial and don't convert, and that's a separate type of churn to look at. But
that might be the same churn.
Yeah, right.
Like
right.
Another way of thinking about churn is that it's lack of activation.
Yeah.
And that can happen during the trial. It can happen even after they paid.
The people trials that didn't convert and the people who paid for like 1 month and then canceled, they sort of are in the same bucket as like you paid for an extended trial. The ones that really get me is when someone has paid for like 6 months and they have like 20 links. And then at a certain point, I look in their history and like they just stopped booking events at a certain point. Like they just made a decision like gonna not use SavvyCal anymore. And then eventually they cancel. Those ones are really, I'm fascinated to know what happened, because it seemed like a lot of activity happening in your account. You seem to be making full use of the product, and then boom, stopped.
Definitely. I mean, that seems really worth getting into. It's tough to say prioritization wise. Like, if you're going to devote more time to this, you could be writing custom emails to these people and following up a couple times and DM them on Twitter or like whatever. If it feels important, like the number one thing. Does it feel like the number one thing?
I just feel like this is something that I'm very aware of the plateaus that can happen in SaaS, and I would love to also be investing in like changing the slope of the growth curve. Like that's also an area that like that's another lever that I can pull on. But this churn it just eats away. So it's so corrosive, and I hate that. It does feel like doing at least a round of improvements around churn is going to both help on the growth front, because if I'm understanding where we're deficient or where people are giving up on the dream, that'll only help with growth. So I think that learning will be really important, even if I don't move the number, even if I just learn first and then work towards moving the number. I feel like that's a valuable exercise. Something I could be working on in tandem. I think I can deputize my support guy, Reggie, to work on some of this follow-up potentially, or some of this analysis, like go through each account and kind of look at the activity and summarize for me what stage of activation did they get to, and then either he or me can then do some manual follow-up, really targeted based on kind of what we determine from their usage patterns.
I like that. And just another small tactical thing is like you could offer them a gift, like an Amazon gift card or something, if they're willing to talk to you. You could incentivize people. It could be that there's a number there that bumps your response rate up dramatically if you're really going to give them a $50 gift card or something like that. I mean, I like the idea of focusing on this kind of thing. Improving the efficiency of the engine is kind of awesome. I think even just doing that analysis of like what kind of user is churning, like the ones that are active and churning out, if there's a lot of those, sounds the most scary, versus people that like just didn't quite get over the activation hurdle, where it's like you'll always have some of those, certainly be working towards that, but that feels like less of like something is wrong that we need to fix, versus like this person made it all the way through and made the links and was scheduling events. Then what? So like hopefully all of those users are just like, oh, I stopped doing this. Like I didn't need the product anymore, and it's all fine.
It would be good to know if like a lot of these are like, well, I work for a company and we signed up for this other tool that the sales team's using, and now I'm just going to use that because I can get like an account as part of that or something like that. I'm hoping it's more of that than like, yeah, your tool sucks and it just didn't meet the threshold and I canceled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this seems to me like good founder things to do. It's like get a direct line to these customers or former customers. Figure out what you need to do to get them to actually give you the feedback and figure out what's going on. Seems like kind of important information.
Yeah, it sure does. And so then this brings me back to always the question, I think I alluded to this last week as we were talking stuff through, like I'm on this like good shipping cadence right now and it feels good. But then the moment I start thinking about these other concerns in the business, like dedicating some mental cycles and some actual time into working on churn, because I'm single threaded right now, then that's to the detriment of shipping. So then that also makes me think, well, maybe that does seem to suggest that I'm nearing that time where it's worth paying the productivity penalty of onboarding someone new to help out on the product front.
Mm-hmm. I certainly could see that. That sounds very plausible to me, especially since you have cash in the bank that you've sold equity to get. It's like you have this asset that is sort of not the cash is an asset on its own, but it's not super productive in cash form. Yeah. Also, you've been shipping a lot of stuff lately. So if you took a few weeks to do some churn investigation and ship some things that would, if you're combating churn for long-term users, that's shipping, that's like valid stuff for the user base. But even if you're focused on like, oh, it's actually more of an onboarding problem or an activation problem, it seems like you could take a breath on the new features and do some of that first.
Yeah. Yeah, at least the first phase of it, where it's like understanding what are the primary causes, and if there is one that jumps out, if it's an activation problem, then we're either we're either like positioning's a little off, or we're attracting in people who aren't a great fit. Like we get a lot of people who used to use a tool called Woven, and Woven had scheduling and it was a calendar client. And so I think a lot of times when former Woven customers come in, they shut the product down. So like these people are like just out there looking for a replacement for what they were using before. And I think a lot of them make it in and then they're like confused. Sometimes they write into support. They're like, where's the calendar client? I'm like, well, we're not a calendar client. We're just a scheduling tool right now. And so then they just kind of abandon. So like, I think that's one area where like we're bringing in a decent number of these folks. Like I see it show up in their like, how'd you hear about us? And they're like looking for a Woven replacement. And I'm always like, okay, this might not be a great fit. So if it's a problem like that, that'd be good to know. If it's a problem of like people just not understanding how to use the tool, then we can work on our education and like nurturing people into like setting up for their different use cases, how to set up the tool. Maybe it's an education problem. There's a lot of different, potential problems it could be.
Totally.
So,
yeah, I think one thing I would consider is like spend a half a day writing the code to get an email whenever someone cancels that just says like, how old is this account? How many appointments have they booked? How many scheduling links do they have?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. When was their last appointment or something like that? Just a little bit.
I have a little activity channel in Slack that I have all notifications off so I can just dip into it right now. And it's basically a stream of like anytime someone signs up, when they finish onboarding, when they start their Stripe, I have all of those events just kind of piping into this feed so I can just kind of peruse through and see the activity. So that would probably be a good place to drop that in, at the moment they cancel.
Yeah, I like it. Even just giving yourself like that stream of data kind of passively, where you're just like, you start to build up an intuitive sense of what canceling users look like. You'll go, okay, I think I know I at least know roughly where the problem is, or like what the average canceling user looks like.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny because I don't think we have a crazy high churn rate right now, but it's like just enough. Like seeing any churn is like, that's a bug that needs to be addressed. Seeing our expansion revenue, they're very close. Like churn and expansion are very close to each other. That still doesn't make me feel any better. Like I still I'd rather have the expansion without it being eaten away by churn. So
yeah, for sure. We need to do more of a deep dive in this at some point too. Whenever I turn on like cancellation feedback surveys and things like that, the data has not been super interesting. It's been like, oh, like we're shutting down, or like we're not pairing, or something like that. But I do like having a stream of the feedback flow over me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, should we wrap it?
Yeah, let's wrap it.
All right, notes of the show.
Notes of the show can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Goodbye.